sometimes when we're reading a text, we get to a really complicated section where it kind of seems like it's in a foreign language. So in order to change that, we can kind of decode our text so that it's something that we understand. So today what I'm going to teach you is we're going to take the first paragraph of the preamble of the Declaration of Independence, and we're going to break it up into different sections, and we're going to translate it into language that we understand. This text was written in a language where they used it in olden days, and because of that, it can be tricky to understand. But when you get to a text that's tricky to understand, you can't just go over it. You've got to try to break it into sections that you can change the language into something that you understand. Today, I'm going to teach you how to do that. First, let's read the text that we're going to look at. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. What in the world did that mean? I don't know about you, but I did not understand it. I'm going to use a couple of different markers to do this. You can use your pencil. I've done this with pencil before. You can use pencil, but I think it would also help to have different colored instruments just because it'll help you kind of see the overall picture. You don't need to do this every time. You can always use your pencil, but today when we're working on our activity, you're going to do it with different colored tools. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it into sections that I can then break down even smaller and translate. So first I'm going to remember what I know about when a paragraph is written and how a writer is writing something. They'll sometimes use commas or they'll use conjunctions. Remember, one of our conjunctions is and. So as I'm reading, I'm going to see or I'm going to stop when I get to a conjunction or when I get to a comma. When in the course of human events. That sounds like one phrase, and I know that I'm going to take a pause when I see a comma. So that's where my first break is going to go. And I'm just going to put a line right by that first break. Then I'm going to keep going. It becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another. And I know that a conjunction is taking two ideas and putting them together. So I know that this was one idea. So I'm going to put a break there as well. And I'll continue reading. And to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. Now here I have two conjunctions and I have a comma, but I think that those will go with one phrase. It's kind of talking about the same thing, so I'm going to put them all together. I'm going to put a break right here by this comma and keep going. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. So here I have my four sections that I'm going to be translating. And over here I have another piece of paper that I've split into 4 columns. And today when you're working on your section of the text, you're going to have some of it written out, and then I will also have a box where you can divide it up into the different phrases that you'll be translating. So now let's get to translating. Let's look at the first phrase. When in the course of human events. All right, well, I'm going to underline course of human events. That kind of reminds me, if I were to translate it into another word, would be life. Or a person's life. Person's life. If I were to now change this whole phrase into something we might use nowadays, I would write during the course of a person's life, comma. Right? So that kind of changed when in the course of human events, I've changed it into something that I understand. I'm going to keep going on to my next section. It becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another. All right, well, I know that one people has to mean that it's a group. And I know the word dissolve means to break down. I know that the word political usually means government. So I'm going to take political bands and I'm going to put the word government. And I know that they're connecting them in some way. So I'm going to now change it into words that I would use. So during the course of a person's life, if a group of people find it necessary to break away from their government, right? And that kind of gives the whole phrase. Now I'm going to go on to the next phrase, which is, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. Well, I'm going to use the words that kind of stick out to me. I know that this phrase, laws of nature, sticks out, and I know the phrase nature's God sticks out to me. I'm going to translate those. So laws of nature, I'm going to say life again. And nature's God just kind of reminds me of God himself. So God's rules and life's rules, I guess. Right? And to assume, that's kind of sticking out to me. I know, so I'm doing something with these powers, or I'm using these powers. To use powers. So that's kind of like something that's given to me. Or I could say a right that's given to me. So now, and in title, so this is again, I have a right to it. It's something that's mine. So if I were to translate this sentence into words that I would use, and I go back to here, during the course of a person's life, if a group of people find it necessary to break away from their government, they could use the rights that are given to them, that are given to them. So, find it necessary to break away from their government, they can use the human and God-given rights. So everybody's given these natural laws and God laws, and they have a right to them. So we're able to use them. Now let's look at our final phrase. I'm going to use my final color. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. So here I have this phrase, decent respect to the opinion of mankind. It's kind of saying that if I respect somebody that has authority over me, so to show respect, in order to show respect, what am I going to do? Requires, I know that means I have to do something. Have to. Declare, I know that word means to tell. What am I telling? oh, the causes or the things that are making me, or the events that are kind of forcing me to make this change. So forces that are making me make this separation. So if I were to rewrite this phrase, I would say that in order to show respect, I need to, or the people need to, they need to tell why, these are the reasons why they are forced to separate. So I've taken this really hard text that was really hard to understand, and I've broken that code up by breaking it into different phrases and translating those different phrases into words that we use nowadays. So when I've taken these phrases and written them in my own words, this is what I end up with. During the course of a person's life, if a group of people find it necessary to break away from their government, they can use the human and God-given rights in order to show respect, they need to tell why they are forced to separate. So that's kind of breaking it down for me, telling me that these people have a right to break away from their government because it's their right. But in order to do that and to show respect, they have to tell why they're breaking away from that government. So we have used our annotations that we've learned in the past, and I've shown you this new strategy that you can use of breaking it down and translating it on another piece of paper. And today I would like you to use your annotations and the paper that I'm going to be giving you to break down the second paragraph that we're going to be looking at today.